This is Keith McDaniel, and today is July the 16th, 2026, and I am here at the UCOR headquarters with Ken Rueter. Ken, thank you for taking time to talk to me.
Keith, thank you for giving me the opportunity to have a chat.
Sure, absolutely.
My favorite topics.
Well, good. Yeah. Now, this is about you. It's about your life, and we'll get into that. But first of all, so people will have a frame of reference of who you are, tell me what, and I know you just recently retired, but before you retired, what did you do?
Well, before I retired on April 1st, as we were talking about, and before that, I was the Chief Executive Officer and President of United Cleanup Oak Ridge. Everybody commonly knows it as UCOR. And I was previously the CEO and President of URS CH Tim Hill of Oak Ridge, the old version of UCOR, if you will, that was responsible for the original, what was referred to as the ETTP, or East Tennessee Technology Park, cleanup contract. So, UCOR has been here both as old UCOR and now new UCOR, if you will, since the 2011 timeframe.
Okay. All right. Well, very good. All right. So now we know who you are. Let's go back to the beginning. So let me get to know you a little bit. So tell me a little bit about where you were born and raised. Something about your family, maybe.
Okay. So I was born in Cleveland, Ohio. Lived there approximately 22 years, and grew up in fairly rural communities. My father was in sales. My mother was a nurse. But my family had a pretty extensive, let me say, lineage or history in labor. And so I had a grandfather that was a machinist on one side of the family. I had another grandfather who was involved in part of the International Union of Teamsters. And so
that area was strong labor.
Yes,
I mean,
northeastern
industrial,
Ohio or Midwest, all of that is strong in that area. Steel workers, that aspect of things, and still have a lot of family members today that are steel workers, electricians, so forth and so on. And so for me, construction, if you want to call it that, was a big focus in my life. Mechanical systems, things like that. So I, spent most of my years in the early part focused in those areas. Decided that I wanted to pursue a career in the trades. Started there. Ultimately, that got me navigated towards working in it's now referred to as oil and gas. Back then, it was the chemical industry, and got a kind of interest in that area. So I decided to put myself through school.
Okay. I was about to ask.
Got a degree in chemical engineering.
Okay.
And a degree in macroeconomics, and just because that was just sort of a hobby interest kind of thing.
Okay.
And at that point, when I graduated from Cleveland State University. At that point, it was, I think, referred to as Fenn College of Engineering, and I thought, I want to get back to my roots again. So I immediately went back, got my degree, immediately went back into the field, and worked in large industrial system construction and commissioning, or sort of startup is referred to. And so I spent a number of years in the commercial side of things, oil and gas, pharmaceuticals, power generation, cogeneration.
So what did you do? I mean,
I worked predominantly in final system design, construction, and then commissioning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and great question, because that kind of leads to how I got into the nuclear business and that. So I, probably about 3 or 4 years into that, living all around the country, anywhere from Alaska to Hawaii to the greater 48. Decided that I really wanted to take the next step into how you develop enterprises and organizations and companies to deliver, back in those days referred to as mega projects. So projects that are billions of dollars.
Yeah.
The best opportunity for that at that point in time was really in the federal sector. And so
they're the only ones who have that kind of money.
Yeah, at that time in the economy, that there wasn't as much in the commercial side as there was the federal side. The environmental cleanup program, it was synonymous with the start of the DOE Office of Environmental Management, who just had their 35-year anniversary. And so I kind of entered into that business the same time Department of Energy or the federal government commissioned the Office of Environmental Management. Great synergy because I am fairly environmental stewardship focused as an individual because I, very outdoors focused. We didn't talk about any of my hobbies, but they're all in that area. And so with that, I sought out an opportunity at what was referred to as the Defense Waste Processing Facility project at Savannah River Site.
Okay.
Joined their construction team and really got the opportunity to pursue and apply what I considered to be my skills and my objectives regarding large enterprise. So I worked in the construction side of that facility. I worked in the commissioning and startup of that facility.
And what exactly was that facility designed to do?
So that facility is the largest, in my opinion, most successful radiochemical treatment facility in the world.
Okay.
So it takes in, nuclear waste is in varying forms.
Yeah.
One of the forms of it is, people would probably see it in the news, called tank waste. So let's call that an agglomeration of both liquid and sludge type materials. When they're removed from a tank, there's many different treatment methods, but the preferred method in this country is to vitrify it. So that's immobilize the waste in a glass matrix. And so that's what the Defense Waste Processing Facility, or commonly referred to as DWPF, does.
Okay.
Takes in this tank waste, does all this chemistry to it, puts it into a glass furnace, produces liquid glass, pours it in a container, it solidifies, it's now immobilized, and it's protective. Okay? And so that I worked on that facility, like I said, through all my principal objectives, which was to construct a multi-billion-dollar facility, obviously very complex, chemical, mechanical systems, successfully started up or commissioning it, and then operating it. And so I did that. I spent 12 years.
That's what I was about to say. How long did it take?
On that project.
Wow.
So I showed up when it was about 40% construct complete and finished up there after 2 years of operations. And super great experience, exactly what I wanted to do, what I was looking to do. And so when I completed that, I said, well, I'm kind of ready for the next thing. And so actually I knew I needed to then get into what I commonly refer to as the circuit or the rotation of capturing jobs.
Yeah, sure.
And not as the marketing person, but as the person that would be deployed to execute the work. And so that was my first foray into the how do you capture large federal contracts and then go execute them. That was in Richland, Washington, so at the Hanford site. And as we talk through this, you may hear me say a couple times that, and I'll just introduce it here, that I have been on what I refer to as the tour of the rivers, because every major DOE cleanup site is on a river. The Columbia River, the Idaho River, the Columbia River, the obviously here the Clinch River and Savannah River. So I've been on the tour of the rivers. Actually, I've been on the tour multiple times because I've been doing this for decades.
But being in outdoors, and I bet that was a nice benefit, wasn't it?
It certainly was. I one of the things that my wife and I, Ruth, talk about quite a bit is that we were really blessed with the opportunity to live in all different facets of the country.
Yeah.
None of those bad experiences, all of them were nicely lined up with who we were as individuals, who we were as a family, who we were as a couple. And so we were given an opportunity and a benefit that most people don't have, in which we could make a very informed decision where we want to live. We never lived at a bad place. We never lived at a place we didn't like. We never lived in a place that doesn't have a special place in our heart, if you will. I mean, I met Ruth and we got married in Aiken, South Carolina. We started a family there. My kids, most of my kids graduated high school and went into college in Richland, Washington. Most of my grandkids live here in East Tennessee.
Yeah.
So you kind of deposit parts of your life as you go along, and then you can make this really informed decision. And that's ultimately, like I've said a number of times when people ask me to talk about decision making in retirement, is we could make an informed decision, and it was definitely informed to spend our retirement years, the rest of our lives here in East Tennessee because of how special Tennessee has become to us. Because we could live at any one of those other places.
Sure.
So, yeah. So when I finished up and spent approximately 10 years at Hanford, the Hanford site, or Richland, Washington, that was really kind of my move into executive service.
That's what I was about to say. What did you do there?
Yeah. So I led the development. Initially, I led the development of the system that's called the waste treatment plant out there, and working in partnership between my employer and another company, really with the intent to scale up the experiences from building, constructing, and operating the Defense Waste Processing Facility. And then when I finished up that assignment, I actually moved to now the more waste management side of the business, and I became the chief operating officer of the Hanford Tank Farm company, and that contract.
Yeah.
And so did that for about 6 years. And then so I've been kind of moving my way through the environmental management flow sheet, for lack of better terms, mostly on the liquid waste side of the things. And I knew if I wanted to kind of complete the waste life cycle, if you will, from a career standpoint and from connecting the dots, that I needed to get into the more environmental remediation side of things. And life's about timing sometimes, and serendipity, and so I was given the opportunity and invited to be part of the bid team for the original East Tennessee Technology Park, or ETTP, or K-25 cleanup contract.
Oh, okay.
And so that's what brought us here in the 2010-2011 timeframe.
All right. And so who were you working for at that time?
So when you do large federal contracts, it's a bit interesting because your parent company partners with other parent companies, and they form a legal joint venture.
Right.
Because these contracts typically require what's called a single purpose entity. So you do that or execute that through a joint venture. And so I left the Washington River Protection Solutions joint venture, which was at that time predominantly owned, majority owned by a company called Washington Group International. And they were the parent body, my parent body. And then I came here and joined what I refer to as Old UCOR. Led by a person by the name of Leo Sane. That name will resonate with folks because he was a big part of that he was the CEO at that time. I took over for him actually in later years, and then again joined old UCOR or URS. CH2M Hill of Oak Ridge.
Okay.
Because in the process, Washington Group became URS.
Oh, okay.
You know, there's always these mergers and acquisitions going on in our industry.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
and it's a fairly niche industry. I mean, you know, so there's only so many places around the country that do this very specific type of thing, I would imagine.
Yes. It's a subset of larger government services companies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or at least that's what it's morphed into, is large government service enterprises that have business units that focus in on this more niche kind of work, which let's call that Office of Environment or Environmental Management work for the federal government. You know, it's a bit of a sidebar, but a little known fact about me is that, you know, I when I retired, I currently am still affiliated with a company called Amentum. Mm-hmm. Amentum is the second largest government services non-OEM company in the country, and they have, you know, major business units that focus in on defense and energy and intelligence and so forth. And so I've always been in the energy and environmental section of that business. But if you look from Amentum currently in its lineage all the way back to what was really the genesis of it was a company called Morrison Knudsen. And that goes back roughly 25 years. When I went to Savannah River to build and operate the Defense Waste Processing Facility, the constructor was Morrison Knudsen, so I joined them.
Okay.
So Morrison Knudsen, and all the way through to present Amentum has been my parent company.
Oh, okay.
All the way through. So for roughly 37 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so it's, there may be others out there that I'm not aware of, but I think I've got the longest standing back to the origin of it. And there's been, I won't get the number right, it's either 8 or 9 major mergers and acquisitions that have got us to Amentum today. And actually Amentum's energy and environmental business unit or global business unit is actually centered here in Oak Ridge because of the successes here in Oak Ridge. And that global business unit president, his name's Mark Whitney, used to be actually a federal official that ran the EM program, leads all that, and he lives here in East Tennessee.
Okay.
Recently moving here to center the business around that. So it's been a really interesting kind of path, and it's, and each one of those stops correlates to part of this tour of the rivers that I talked about, or going around a couple of times. Like, when I was here in 2013, I was asked to go back to Savannah River and be this CEO of Savannah River Remediation Company for a 1 to 2 year time frame to kind of take the enterprise model that we developed here, which is really centered around a shared governance approach to running the company, running the enterprise, and take it there, which I did. And then when I finished up there, in our business, you move a lot.
Yeah.
And I got invited to come back here to replace Leo Sane as the CEO and president of, at that time, still old UCOR.
Yeah.
But with the intent to pursue the Oak Ridge Reservation cleanup contract and what currently sits today as United Cleanup Oak Ridge.
Right.
New UCOR, as I refer to it.
But you originally came back here in 2010.
Right. I came in 10, went back to Savannah River in 13, came back here in 14, and then has been here ever since.
Now, what did you find when you came here in 2010? What was the state of cleanup, politics, all those things mixed together?
Yeah. So when we got here in 2010, we pursued the contract in 2010. We were awarded it in 2011. I won't even forget. I have a thing for dates. So April 29th, 2011, I get the call from what's referred to as the source selection official.
Sure.
Hey, federal government representative, you've been selected as the winner.
Oh, okay.
Great. Look forward to see you in Oak Ridge on May 2nd.
Okay.
We'll be there. So we got here. You do a pretty exhaustive transition effort on large federal contracts.
Who had it before?
A company called went by the term BJC or Bechtel
Jacobs.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, I'll be thoughtful here because I wouldn't want anybody to take it like mudslinging or anything like that. But what we found, we knew going in because we knew why they bid the contract. Why they put it up for rebid. Right. And it was essentially that a couple things were not meeting the expectations of the federal government, and were trending in a direction that would ultimately possibly suffocate out the cleanup program here, right?
Sure.
And so what we found wasn't different than what we already knew why it was rebid.
I see.
Which is there was a profound safety event that took place.
Sure. For
those that know the history of that, there was an incident where somebody fell through the operating floor because the building had degraded, and so there was that. And there's in our business, there's a lot of emotion around safety because it means something.
Sure.
Right? It's like working in a coal mine.
Yeah.
It makes a difference. Okay. And so there was that. There had been at that period in time a pretty exhaustive review of the whole environmental cleanup program done by the General Accounting Office, commonly referred to as the GAO.
Okay.
And it had found that the execution of it was less than sufficient from a project and program management standpoint. So that was also another thing that needed remedy.
Yeah.
And then thirdly is that there was I don't know if it's fair to call dissatisfaction. There was a level of frustration between the people, we're to the political question point now, the people who appropriate the money, or I refer to it as who's financing the work, which in this case is the American taxpayer, and the rate at which environmental liability was effectively being eliminated or mitigated or brought down. And so we knew going in that,
that there were problems.
We were going to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
And so and we did find that. We may not have found it to the level it's sensationalized in the press and things like that. That's just the nature of being a publicly facing organization or effort. But they were all relevant. They were all material.
Yeah.
And so we bid the job with an approach and a set of commitments and a strategy that we felt was very well aligned. Obviously, the government felt that way. They awarded the contract to us, and then from day one, we began to execute it.
Okay, and you addressed some of their concerns in your bid.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we there's a sort of an immediacy of triage, if you will. If you use a medical analogy, it's the car crash victim comes into the emergency room. Their job.
Is that my phone? Did I not turn it off? All right, so
so there's an immediacy to things. Just again using the car crash analogy.
Yeah,
you come into the emergency room. Their job is to do trauma and triage.
Yeah.
Right. So we had a trauma and triage plan to essentially stabilize the patient so that we could implement our remedy then, our longer term remedy. So that's some of these things that happen in this transition window I talked about. It's also sometimes referred to as a phase-in window. It's essentially year one of the contract. And did that. One of the things the government did to make sure that they knew they would get what they bought.
Yes.
Okay. Which was this remedy, and then get back on cleaning up. It was a performance-based contract, so they were over periods of time at some set frequency assessing, are they satisfied? And we never would get the next bit until they were determined they were satisfied.
Right.
So you didn't get the whole contract. You were awarded it, but you weren't authorized.
Sure.
And so we focused heavily on that in the first year, instituting a number of different commitments, moving to a more robust safety culture. We refer to it as culture of excellence, implementing what is still to this day considered the best in class safety culture, which is a voluntary protection approach, or called VPP. And it's really a worker or workforce driven initiative. And we began to implement what we called an investment worthy brand of the company.
All right.
So the VPP culture of excellence, safety culture focus was really addressing the culture of the operations and safety, that concern. And then the investment worthy branding method and approach, and this shared governance enterprise approach that I talked about earlier, was intended to address the concerns of, as it related to not enough progress in environmental liability reduction for the money that's being invested.
Sure.
So the concerns of the appropriators or the financiers, and also the concerns regarding the less than adequate in the eyes of the government program management. Because what I always, and we said it in our very first town hall meeting here in 2011 when we had the whole community with us, including our future workforce, which is two fundamental things in our business that are truisms no matter where you go, which is, if you cannot ensure the people who work for you that they will go home the same way they come to work every day, you won't be in business very long. Because the owner, who's the federal government, won't allow you to be. And additionally, no one will work for you.
Right.
Ultimately.
Exactly.
Okay. Because there's no indenturement here.
Right.
Right. And the second...
They're getting paid well, but not that well.
Yeah. So if you can't do work safely, you won't get to do your work very long. The second thing that I quite regularly tell folks, and told them at this town hall meeting in partnership with Leo, because I was the chief operating officer at that time, is that if somebody, no matter how great you are at doing your work, if somebody won't finance or capitalize your work, you don't get to do it.
Yeah.
So that we had a pretty, quote unquote, simple strategy to triage the patient and demonstrate that we were worthy to get the next performance element in the contract. When we sit here today, obviously that's the outcome.
Yeah, sure.
So at the, we got K-25 demolition back on track. We got the injunction on the north side of K-25 removed. Remember, it was under an injunctive action because of the history,
historical preservation,
SHPO, all those things.
Sure.
And so we got that behind us, and we started to get into a production stride on K-25, all within the first year, and that went very well. And we got our VPP certification, so our workers felt better about their safety, control of their safety, ownership of their safety, kind of fundamental behavior-based safety 101. The people who do the work need to own. Yeah. You give them the tools, but they have to willfully want to be safe every day. And they want to work in that kind of environment. That all went swimmingly well. By no means perfect, because perfect doesn't exist in this business.
Let me stop and ask you a question right now. So people, and most people that are watching this, they'll understand this. When you're talking about taking the K-25 building down, one, during World War II, was the largest building under one roof in the world. So it was a huge place. But it wasn't just the building. I mean, it was full of stuff. Was it still full of stuff at this point in
Yes,
2010?
it was. Yeah, it was.
I mean, compressors and pipes and all kinds of things had to be removed, right?
Yeah, it's a great point, great question. Really, our refined method for ultimately getting to building demolition is really to do what we refer to as 4 Ds.
Okay.
Okay. The first step is decommissioning.
Okay.
What decommissioning is saying, okay, I have a building that was in an operational state. It may not be healthy anymore, but it was at one time in an operational state. And I have to transition it from that state to the ability to be cleaned up or remediated. That's called decommissioning. And you do a number of different techniques and steps in there to what's referred to in our business as mode switch the building.
Okay.
Or mode switch the asset from A to B. That then allows, when that happens, that then allows you to get to the second D, which is what we refer to as decontamination. So what things do we need to do in the building or the area to make it so that humans can go in and do work? Okay? Because everything that paces the ability, the 4 Ds is the ability to do hazard abatement in the building with human beings. As soon as you have to introduce remote features, very expensive, very time consuming.
Sure.
So we invest a lot in how do you sanitize and decontaminate the building to get as many crews in there working.
Real people.
Real people.
Sure.
Yeah. Not robots.
Right.
You know. And because that's not that. I mean, that is done in places because of Fukushima would be a good example of that.
Sure.
But you can then see from its progress what the dauntingness of doing remote.
Exactly.
Okay. That takes me to the third D, which is deactivation. That is the most involved and complicated and labor and intensive work of all the 4 Ds. That's, for something like a K-25, that's 500 to 600 people in the building. They're the unsung heroes. You never see them. They sit behind the wall, and they do what's referred to as the hazard abatement. They're removing all the hazards from the building that have been identified and dispositioning them, meaning disposing of them, so that the building can be demolished.
Right.
What's referred to in open air. Okay. And there's places all across the country and the world that when that's not done, when your deactivation crews don't do their job, you pay a huge penalty in demolition with airborne releases and so forth. There's a lot of history there. Yeah. And so we invest we have very refined deactivation methods. And so in the case of K-25, we had, like I said, at the peak, we had 600 people behind the brick in there removing compressors, removing converters, removing volutes, gallery by gallery, cell by cell. Every single piece of pipe was analyzed. It was sectioned and determined to be what the hazard level of it was, whether we had to do enriched uranium, we call it mining, abatement, removing it. We had what was called a segmentation and removal shop that did that. And this was a 10-hour a day, 5 to 6 day a week effort to do all of that. Matter of factly, our sister company called Southern Ohio Cleanup Company, referred to as SOCO, is up in Portsmouth, Ohio, and we've shared all those methods up there. I have a personal view that that's the reason they won the Portsmouth cleanup contract. Large gaseous diffusion plants, refined means and methods here, proven lessons. Matter of fact, a number of former UCOR executives are up there leading SOCO, for example. So that takes us through
Which is the way it should be.
It could, shouldn't it?
You
Shouldn't
learn
it?
something one place,
Yeah.
you move it to the
Yeah.
next place.
Yeah, shouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, avoid the not-invented here syndrome.
Yeah, exactly.
So we, we then successfully completed deactivation. It's also the largest segment of the 4Ds. So it's about a 3-to-1. You put 3 times more resources and efforts in deactivation than you do demolition.
How long was the deactivation?
It went from around 2013 to around mid 2014.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, pretty substantial.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can segment. Sometimes it's not all done in series because some buildings are capable of being segmented, and so you may finish 1D in one section and move to the next one while you're still working in other segments.
Because K25 really was just a series of buildings that were replicated over and over.
Yeah,
and
segments. Whatever there was, 12 segments in it.
Yeah.
Or 10. And so, for example, we were actually doing demolition on the east side of the building while we were doing deactivation in the north end. Remember the little knob at the end?
Yeah.
You had the west, the east, and then the
north.
complete the U. And so now we've moved into demolition. Very large building, very tall, so it had its challenges. So we used one of the largest, at that time, multi-segment, commonly referred to as high-reach pieces of equipment. We actually got it from Hitachi, and it came orange. So everybody was excited because we painted a big power T on the back.
Sure.
Workforce loved that.
I bet.
Community loved that. And so there's a lot of video of the big orange power T, I call it multi-segment or high-reach machine taking bits of the pieces of the building down.
Yeah, sure.
And then
How tall was it? The building was like 70 feet tall or something like that?
Oh, at least. Yeah,
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So it was more like over 100 because when we get over 100 is when we use a high-reach unit. So, and we have a demolition plan that lays out how our technical team, our engineering team has said this is how you would disassemble the building, and then our operators are, trained and equipment operators trained in doing that. It's also optimized for how you generate what waste at what time and do sorting and segging, because there's also a boots on the ground waste team with smaller. They're by no means small, but they're not as large as a high-reach unit.
Yeah.
Segmenting waste, putting it, and then loading it into trucks so that it could be properly dispositioned. Some waste goes off-site. The high hazard, high rad, high chemically contaminated, that goes off-site, typically goes out west. The building debris that's, by no means is it benign, but what would be considered low hazard solid waste or rubble, goes to our purpose designed landfill called the Environmental Waste Management Facility, EMWMF. And I think most people know we have this dedicated haul road that we commissioned so that the best thing for the general public is for us to keep as much of the waste volume off the generally used highway network.
Right.
For dozens of reasons.
Sure, of course.
The highest one being risk to the general public.
Yeah.
And this site, back in the 90s and early 2000s had some transportation issues with waste finding its way onto the roadway or vehicle accidents and all that. So that was absolutely the right thing to do. Great decision, by the federal government, and our company. And then at the end of the day, we've traveled over, 12 million miles on that haul road.
Is that right?
Yeah, safely.
Wow.
And so that kind of then completes the final D. And now, you see the site, where it sits with the building gone. And then the final step is always soil remediation. So
I was going to ask
identify where the soils have sources of contamination. and you remove those hot spots, and you backfill them with clean soil, and then the parcel is then released. In this case, if staying on with K25, that parcel got released for historic preservation purposes, the 409th National Park of our country. I mean, this is commentary on my part, but I mean, I have to tell you, that was an unexpected highlight in my career. I really never thought that I would be involved in something as nationally significant as building a national park, or that piece of it. I mean, there's a piece at Hanford and a piece at Los Alamos. But being principal in that, really was a very kind of special moment for me and for my family, because you're really not in our business. You're working as a nuclear garbage man every day. Doing that. It obviously it has a significant impact because it's reducing environmental liability, which is held by the American taxpayer. But to do something as kind of nationalized or as more forward facing as being part of the institution, the establishment, and then the construction of a national park is pretty cool.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
I bet. So K25, the U was not the only building. So now, were you responsible or involved in the other?
It's all the other buildings.
The other buildings.
So for those that are familiar with it, this won't be anything new to them. We built a multi-vision strategic plan, and essentially it was 3 major vision elements that would be delivered across a 2-year, 5-year, 10-year horizon. We use a 2-5-10 approach to strategic planning.
Okay.
And the first vision was referred to as Vision 2016, and that was the completion of K25. Done.
Yeah.
And that was achieved in 2016. The next was Vision 2020, which was all the remaining buildings. So it was 2 remaining gaseous fusion buildings referred to as K27, which hadn't been touched, so it needed the full all 4 Ds.
Yeah.
And then K31, which had let me call it maybe 60 to 70% of the deactivation done.
Okay.
So we finished that and then did the demolition of it. But then it had all the other ancillary facilities. There was a major defense centrifuge project there, the 1200 series buildings. There was the original, let me call it gaseous diffusion semi-works, commonly referred to as Poplar Creek, the 600 series and 1000 series buildings, which actually were, in truth be told, the hardest of all the buildings.
Really?
Technically. Yeah. Because it was where all the mad scientist stuff took place.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Is this how a converter runs? Well, maybe it does or doesn't.
All the labs.
Oh, yeah. Yellow cake. We found it. Yeah. I mean, it was a dog's breakfast of things we found. So.
What about the power plant? Was that already
It was done.
Okay.
Yeah, that was done. All we had left to do was a few what's called eco actions on Duck Island to get it ready for land reuse or transfer.
Right.
So we moved into those, and that was Vision 2020. And it brought its own uniqueness to it.
Yeah.
But it was also a very major growth opportunity for the company, because it was where a majority of the environmental liability existed for Heritage Center. So there was big chunks of environmental liability reduced. I mean, Oak Ridge is in the last 15 years. Oak Ridge is the most significant level of environmental liability reduction that's ever been seen in this country.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's $10+ billion of environmental liability.
Wow.
And remember that the third largest liability held by the country or by the American taxpayer is environmental liability. Right. I mean, the first one is obviously the national debt.
Yeah.
The second one is obviously, Social Security, CMS, Medicare.
Yeah.
And then the third is environmental liability. It's at times it can be north of $600 billion.
Wow.
Now that's both federal and commercial environmental liability.
Sure.
But so, we really made a difference here. And I mean that as a community. I don't mean that as just UCOR or, EM or that. I mean, this is historical. I mean, other countries long to have the environmental, if I could call it production, environmental liability reduction production that we've had in this community or at this site in the last 15 years. And and I share with people, I said, none of this is serendipitous. This is by design. This is what is intended to be under a brownfield Superfund remediation initiative, so that you're then prepared for the ability to capitalize on this brownfield land.
Okay, and what does that mean, brownfield?
Brownfield is a former industrial facility that is being cleaned up to a level that it can be repurposed and reused.
Okay.
It is a fundamental program under CERCLA, or that's the legal fancy name for Superfund.
Okay.
The Superfund Act that was commissioned in the 70s, Love Canal, those things, by the Congress. And so our mission has always been twofold. Accelerate environmental liability reduction and repurpose, reindustrialize land as a brownfield so that it was ready for former or new opportunities, new economic opportunities that would line up with that land. And that's where we sit today, right, with the Nuclear Renaissance, Nuclear Life Cycle Innovation Campus, energy hubs, all that. That's why the center of that for this country exists here today, because this community, these stakeholders, the associated companies like UCOR, like Amentum, like the Office of Environmental Management, the Department of Energy, had enough foresight to come together in a critical partnership arrangement and accelerate so that we're ready for this point in time. I refer to it as fate favors the prepared,
right,
and fortune follows it.
Okay.
I mean, just think this roughly $15 billion in economic development that's sited within the confines of a city of 32 or 33,000 people. That's on a per capita basis. That's unheard of.
Sure.
I mean, major cities would long for that.
And it would have never happened had you all not done the work that you did, because it wouldn't be ready for that.
Exactly. That was the maturation of our brand.
Yeah. From
investment worthy to demonstrate to the people who finance our work that they should finance more of our work.
Sure.
And kudos to Senator Alexander and to Congressman Flashman for seeing that and understanding it and continuing to make those investments because we were investment worthy. To then a realization that the future begins with cleanup. That was the next stage in our branding.
Okay.
And then to where the brand we sit today, which is clean up today for a nuclear tomorrow.
And also the fact that the general public, for the most part, and I've had several people say this to me, recently in these interviews that I've done, and they said, I mean, the people in Oak Ridge, they get nuclear. I mean, they don't want to target, but they'll open their arms to 6 brand new nuclear companies coming in over on the edge of town. Yeah. So there is a general attitude toward this type of thing that is just part of the culture of Oak Ridge and because of the history of Oak Ridge.
Yeah, I think that Secretary Wright in his April 2025 visit here, mind you, the first location he came to after his confirmation, absolutely nailed it. He refers to it in my summary as a Manhattan Project culture. Yeah, and it lines up with the volunteer culture of this state and the call to service. I mean, people in this state rally around a call to service. Sure. And so I think that's when you saw you then at the end of his visit, if anybody remembers that in that time frame, he laid the challenge out for East Tennesseans or Tennesseans in general that you are the place we are coming for Manhattan Project 2.0, right? Which we now refer to as Nuclear Life Cycle Innovation Campus or Nuclear Innovation District or hubs, And you see the outcome of it. And it's
Yeah.
anchored around the very first commercial company that dove in, which was Orano. We're all familiar with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the other companies that have then, found their place in a now rebirth of the nuclear life cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And they are now citing here up to and including the announcement, made by Trisol X
Mm-hmm.
yesterday
Mm-hmm.
for another $1.1 billion in investment.
Yeah.
And you see that they are naturally filling gaps in what we in our industry refer to as what the nuclear life cycle looks like. But it's
Yes.
very simple. It's enriching uranium, producing fuel, generating energy,
Yeah.
treating the waste,
Yeah.
and cleaning up, and then doing the life cycle again. That's what's happened here, and they're fitting in to the tune of now $15 billion worth of folks
Yeah.
being here, doing very, very innovative things, from new, what I refer to as nuclear generators,
Uh-huh.
the Xeno power work,
Mm-hmm.
to new fuel configurations like Trisol X
Trisol
and
X.
Standard Nuclear, to production. I mean, the world's predominant world throughput of uranium enrichment and production,
Mm-hmm.
and co-locating that with where fuels are being produced.
Yeah.
To now microreactor technologies with Radiant, to small modular reactor configurations like GE Hitachi that is partnered with TVA for the Clinch River site,
Yeah.
to now something that I think as a nation we've needed. My personal view, I'm not saying this is the department's or the company's view, my personal view, which is in order to close the nuclear life cycle, we needed to get to the ability to recycle fuel.
Yeah.
Okay, for a number of different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But in my mind, the most predominant one is to reduce waste volume.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because we're at a place in our life cycle, nuclear life cycle, where we're kind of choked up on volume of waste.
And you spent a career dealing with that, haven't you?
And so to me, another critical thing is Okolo's decision to site a fuel recycling facility here and to employ modern technologies doing that.
Yeah.
Obviously, on the federal side, they made a decision to restart H Canyon at Savannah River. Mm-hmm. That's the equivalent of recycling on the federal side.
Yeah.
So that just kind of completes the whole story. I think, again, the government hasn't made a decision yet regarding a formal selection of a nuclear life cycle innovation campus, but I think the submittal that this state put in response to that, and obviously I have cognitive biases to this state,
sure, of course.
but that the message in there is that the foundation is already here and has been demonstrated.
Yes.
And it's now just working to the next scale.
Yes.
And kudos to the Lee administration and to Commissioner McCorder's organization for putting in just a stellar proposal, if you will, for the Nuclear Life Cycle Innovation Campus.
Which could be huge. It could be like another Y12. From what I understand.
Yeah.
As far as the number of employees and size of operation,
all of that. It's billions of dollars of construction.
Yeah.
I mean, there's already $15 billion out there, but it's billions of dollars of construction. It's thousands of jobs, because it's essentially the idea. It's like our Nuclear Life Cycle Innovation Campus. Yeah. They're not designed to serve a region. Mm-hmm. They're designed to serve the country and the world.
Yes.
Okay. And so, I mean, it is the delivery of Manhattan Project 2.0.
And that's why they're just picking one location, I suppose, at this point. There may be more. But...
Again, I don't speak for the government.
Sure. I understand.
I have a personal view that the magnitude of and the needs of the nuclear life cycle in this country will not afford them the luxury of naming only one location.
Sure, I understand.
I think logistically, I have a personal view that an East Coast solution and a West Coast solution that centers around a location, but then embodies collaboration of states.
Yeah.
Sounds like Manhattan Project, doesn't it?
That makes more sense.
It doesn't. It sounds like Manhattan Project
does.
1.0,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And the other thing I personally find very encouraging is that when you read like the NLIC RFI or you talk to decision makers, whether it's the state or federal level, is that they've baked, and for somebody who's lived it for almost 40 years now, they've baked in the lessons learned from Manhattan Project 2.0, meaning they're going to address the waste when it's newly generated. They're not going to accumulate it.
Right.
They're going to inculcate that and incorporate that into the life cycle definition. They're going to construct facilities so that they don't become an environmental liability. Right.
Exactly. Because
and so they're not going to do the life cycle like we did in our past, where we got to the point of excess facilities, waste, and then said, well, we'll just hold that for another day.
Yeah, sure.
And so kudos to them for that. I see it in, I even see it in what the commercial facilities are building out here
right
now.
And that's the one of the main points of that, of all the investment, is those aren't federal entities. Those are commercial operations.
Yeah.
And now they may end up with federal dollars for their work, but these are independent commercial investments into the nuclear renaissance, as we're calling it.
Exactly. And and there's an equivalent investment going on the federal side, right?
Yeah.
You're familiar with the Y-12 modernization and the ORNL modernization, the Genesis mission, which is, a government sponsored, quantum computing, all of that. Those modernization initiatives, the UPFs, uranium processing facility, lithium processing facility, the ARC facility, all of those are part of the nuclear life cycle. They just support the federal side of the nuclear life cycle. So let's call that the science and the nuclear deterrence side of it. And then to your point, you have all the commercial now. And interesting enough, you now have that all co-located in one common campus.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that embodies the culture. To your earlier point, embodies 75-year culture of knowing how to do that.
Yeah, and
how to deliver for this country. It is. There's nothing perfect again in this business.
Sure,
it is the optimum location.
Oh yeah,
for an NLIC.
Oh yeah. All right, so I know you've retired, but what is the future for UCOR? I mean, what is?
Oh, I think it's again. I used to joke with folks that our future's so bright. You got to wear shades, kind of thing, from the song. But I think the future for UCOR is continuing to produce and drive land reuse and repurposing, because it's needed by both the future federal modernization missions, and it's needed by the commercial companies. More and more want a site here every day, and we're out of we got the Oak Ridge Development Corporation. They're out of land, so UCOR needs to put more land into the bin, into the bank. So that's a great opportunity for them. I think that the continued acceleration of environmental liability reduction is absolutely paramount. The reason I say that is I think everybody has now come to understand that the inflationary cost of cleanup is astronomical. So I refer to it as the time value of money. The over half the environmental liability cost is really maintaining excess buildings in safe harbor. So that's a 50% inflationary cost, right? Year over year.
Yeah.
Think how we'd all feel if inflation was 50%. We wouldn't be very happy as individuals.
Sure.
So obviously the appropriators are not, So there's a 60 cents on the dollar time value of money benefit to every dollar you accelerate in cleanup.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable math.
Sure.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that piece of the job because I finally got to apply my macroeconomic capabilities, I guess, or knowledge. And so that opportunity continues to exist in UCOR because they have the investment-worthy confidence of the appropriators.
Sure.
Now, obviously, Congressman Fleshman on the House side and Senator Haggerty on the Senate side. So that's a great opportunity to keep pulling back. I mean, there's roughly $150 million a year of avoidance of liability avoidance by pulling years forward.
Right.
And as long as the appropriators can and are willing to make that investment, we need to make hay.
Yeah.
Right. You don't make money with a manufacturing facility while you're constructing it. So you want it built, and you want widgets going out the back door.
Exactly.
So same concept with cleanup. I think the third opportunity for them is what I refer to, as I realize the government doesn't refer to this, is EM as a service. So it takes me back to my previous point of one of the major lessons learned with the life cycle, which is treat newly generated waste, don't accumulate it.
Right.
Okay. And the nuclear industry generates waste, but so does the chemical industry, and so does the oil and gas, and so does the pharmaceutical. So it's not as dramatic as folks would like to make it in the nuclear side, like they're the only ones that do that.
Yeah.
It's I call it pack as you go. No more storing of waste. So EM as a service would be a model in which existing, already capitalized and amortized federal assets that treat waste would now be available to the life cycle to treat newly generated waste.
Sure.
And I think it's, a bit of an extreme way of saying it, in a real-time way. Okay. Not more like we do hazardous waste, or commonly referred to as RCRA waste, right? It's always on a 90-day clock.
Yeah.
It enters a RCRA storage area, and you have to treat it in the 90-day clock.
Sure,
right?
Exactly.
Same kind of concept now on newly generated waste. And I think that the UCOR operated waste management facilities, which is like the liquid and gaseous waste facility that's been modernized at Oak Ridge National Lab, the Transuranic Waste Processing Center, which is down 95 there, that treats. There's no one else in the world that packages and dispositions transuranic waste other than the Transuranic Waste Processing Center. So I think DOE's or the federal government's decision to make these assets available as EM as a service is not only a necessity but genius. Okay. And really I think it shows the open-mindedness that's being brought to this kind of new nuclear renaissance, right?
Yeah.
You may see unique public-private partnerships between some of the companies that will generate, waste.
Yeah.
Like when they enrich uranium, or they make fuels, or they recycle fuels. And so I think that's the third thing that's a great opportunity for UCOR. Right? It's in their strategic plan. I'm done now.
Right.
It's in their strategic plan. It's a major vision within their strategic plan. And the credit I'll give them is this now next generation strategic plan isn't constrained by time, because things are moving so fast.
Yes.
Okay. And you need to be able to be agile. And so their visions are now end states. Knowing that sooner is better than later.
And because it's going to have to be done, and to have that service at the end, somebody's going to have to do it, or you're going to be back to where we were 50 years ago with stuff just piling up.
Exactly. I have an individual view that any place that put an NLIC proposal in, or Nuclear Life Cycle Innovation Campus proposal, if they didn't show a strategy and a series of assets that close the nuclear life cycle, which at the back of the life cycle is waste disposition and cleanup, you won't get one.
Yeah.
Because I know the government's committed to that lesson learned.
Sure. Well, Ken, thank you so much for taking time to talk to me.
You're welcome. This was a great conversation.
Yeah,
Keith.
it was
If you
great.
if you want to do more or explore more, I'm always interested in that.
Well, that's fantastic. I appreciate it. This is a 5-year project, so I may come back to you again in another year or two.
Great.
All right.
Yeah, let's do it. Thank you.
Great.